I woke up by the loud slam of the door as this boy just bursted inside of the room and started walking heavily on the floor. Here we go again, I thought, and I just tucked my head under the covers. I turned toward the wall and I exhaled in despair. And then I heard the click, that damn click. I hated that click because it meant that in just a matter of minutes, the entire space would be filled with such hot air that would be impossible for me to breathe. He had just turned off the AC, as he would every single morning at 8 a.m. That was my reality over a year ago. I lived in a hostel in Malaysia where it's extremely hot and humid. And I felt like I was suffocating, but I wasn't suffocating because of the fact that it was hot or the fact that a boy would burst into a female dorm. But I was suffocating because this was my attempt of independence. I was trying to be this independent woman, to run my own business, to be an entrepreneur, but here I was crushed in my little dorm bed with my messy bun and no makeup, and having someone else be in charge of how much I would sweat. Well, it did not feel like freedom. It did not feel like independence. That morning, I knew that something had to change. I had to do something about the situation I was in. And so I was like, okay, I have to do something. I get out of my dorm bed. I open my overstuffed suitcase with this mountain of tangled, wrinkly clothes that scream rock bottom meets budget travel. And I looked for something, just anything that would make me feel like a powerful woman again. And we didn't have wardrobes, we didn't have storage space. All of our suitcases were on the floor. So I would almost trip over my suitcase, pick that dress that I found, and I rushed toward the bathroom because it was the only room that I could lock. So I hide in the bathroom, I put my hair down, I put on that dress, and then I get out of the bathroom, excited, eager, that I'm gonna change my life. I was determined that I'm gonna conquer the world. And then I go, I sit on my bed, and I start scrolling on Instagram. And then I see her, that woman, that I've been following for a while on Instagram. And she was a real inspiration to me. She was this badass, independent woman that was running her own business, just like I wanted to do. And she was running a business in female domination. So she was a woman who was teaching women how to dominate their life, business, and sometimes other people too. And so I was like, okay, I see the story, and she had posted that she is looking for someone to hire to work in person with her, side by side, in Spain, Valencia. Boom, I knew it. That was my opportunity. I was gonna get that opportunity. That was gonna be my ticket out of this misery. I was gonna grab the opportunity because if anybody could teach me how to be a badass independent woman and run my own business, that would be her. And so I quickly DM her, we get on a call, and I pitch myself as the best copywriter she's ever met. Well, as a smart businesswoman that she is, she decides to check if that's true. Fair enough. And so she gives me 2 assignments to complete in 3 days. I had to transform 2 of her posts into the best copy she's ever read. Okay. And so there I go. For the next 3 days, I am just studying every sentence, every word, trying to turn this into the best copy she's ever read. And I'm pulling amounts of concentrations that I didn't even know I was capable of. And I'm doing it, my concentration is on point. And then after 3 days and 58 proof-checking moments, I finally submit those assignments, and I wait. I wait for her response. And then she replies, soon after, with an email that says, "Good job, I love it. Can we start in 2 weeks?" 2 weeks? 2 weeks? How was I going to make it in 2 weeks? Actually, how was I going to make it at all? I was paying $5 a night for this hostel. How was I going to pay for flight tickets to Spain, for accommodation, for this whole move? It hadn't occurred to me at that point that I had no idea how the hell am I going to make it at all to Spain. But I was determined. I was seeing that opportunity, and I knew that that was my golden opportunity. That was my ticket out of this misery, and I had to make it. Think, Darina, think. What can you do? Can your business take off in the next 2 weeks magically? Chances were slim. Okay, think, what else can I do? I think that my best bet would be for me to get a loan. Now, none of my friends or family have that amount of money, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for a loan in my home country, in Bulgaria, and see if I get it. Okay, good. So, Darina, for the next few days, is trying to get a loan. I'm applying on all of those websites for creditor companies that I can find. And I am just, my thumbs are working with lightning fast speeds in my little dorm bed. It was real fun. And on top of that, I realized that my visa is also about to expire, my visa for Malaysia. And if I don't want to be detained or generously fined at the border, I have to make it in the next week and a half out of the country. Now, what I would usually do is just a quick border run, in and out of the country, so it wouldn't cost me anything, it would be easy. But now I had to make it not only out of the country, but to Spain with no money in those 2 weeks. Okay, I was optimistic. So I started applying, and then I realized that for any creditor to even consider my application, they have to call me on the phone on my Bulgarian number. Okay, lucky for me, I have my Bulgarian SIM card, so I tried to activate it. I put it on my phone, I tried to activate my Bulgarian card, me and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is telling me how to configure my settings on my phone to activate that SIM card. Okay, I managed to pull it off eventually, and I received my first phone call. It's working. Okay, the SIM card is working. Now I can get calls from the creditors. And so for the next few days, I just spent the time talking on the phone with all of those creditors, trying to convince them that giving a loan to a 26-year-old unemployed girl who had zero proof of ever repaying that loan back was a good idea. Okay, so I spent that time on the phone, and at the same time, I'm looking for a room in Valencia in all of those Facebook groups, and I'm deflecting all the scams that come my way, and the tension is high, and I feel like I'm sweating, but not because it's hot, but because the time is ticking. Now I have just a few days before I have to leave Malaysia and make it to Spain. And so, amongst all of those replies that I get, that are no, are you crazy reply from the creditors, but masked as, we're sorry to inform you that your request has been denied, I finally see it. I received a notification from one of those creditor companies who approved my request. And so, okay, we are good. It's all good, except that at this point, I have to leave Malaysia already, but the money has not landed in my bank account yet. So I have to hop on a bus and leave the country, nonetheless, whilst waiting for the money to come. So I go to Singapore. I pack my bags and I head to Singapore on the bus, whilst arranging a sleep at one of my friends' houses, because I couldn't afford an accommodation in Spain, whilst waiting for the money to arrive. The next day, I arrive in Singapore, and the money arrives in my bank account. Yes, I was gonna make it. So then I sent a deposit for one of those rooms in Malaysia, in Spain, hoping that it exists when I arrive. And I booked my flight tickets, and a few days later, I was in Spain. A few weeks ago, I was sitting in my room, and I was trying to record a podcast episode. And I hear my neighbor being extremely loud, talking on the phone, and I just catch myself thinking, that guy, can he be any louder? Like, I wish the walls are thicker or something, or I had my own house in the middle of nowhere so I don't have to hear him. And then it hits me. I was sitting there on my big, beautiful desk, wearing my nice, silky smooth robe that I took out of the wardrobe, because I have a wardrobe. And I was just feeling the cool air coming from the AC that I could keep on for as long as I wanted. And I just leaned back in my chair and I smiled and exhaled in gratitude. Thank you.